want to show you the glasses my son got for me for Christmas. They fit into my phone. I thought I might need them. Okay, so in this room, what else do I need? Okay, is that good?
Yes.
In this room is such a perfect song for SSA. You mentioned it in your opening remarks, and the story I'm going to tell you could be aptly named in this room because it happened in the classroom. And I'm not going to be the only one crying. Thank you for being so vulnerable and letting us join you. Appreciate that a lot. The story has been with me for 45 years. And there's someone here today, Douglas, his lovely partner, Lisa, who asked me a question at Writers Group when I was once again telling his story, this time in writing. And he said, "What do you think actually happened between you and this kid in your class? That this story could be told. We get the outcome of what happened, but how did it happen?" And so, I don't know if many of you were here when I talked about Greg Braden's comment about we have our heart, and there is this channel from the heart that sends information to the parts of our brain that would welcome that information. And I've known that since probably 99 or 2000 when I first was introduced to HeartMath. I knew that there was something about the heart that was even more important and impactful than what we think of as our brain. So I could say, well, this was a heartfelt experience, but what happened was such a mystery to me. So here's the story. I was prepared in my undergraduate work at Sonoma State University to teach English as a second language to people who were in need of being literate and working and living in an English-speaking community. That was a career that just kind of came together because I took a little job at the community college I attended, and the job was to assist a teacher who taught ESL. It was magical. Here were people who didn't know English, and I walked into a class and they were all speaking English. And it was like a miracle. And so I joined in that, and I pioneered a field at the university I attended so that they gave me, they said something like, when the system, which was teach English as literature, when the system doesn't work for the student, maybe it's time we change the system. Well, so I got doors opened, it was wonderful, I got an amazing job teaching a group of supposedly bilingual people, they weren't all bilingual, bank telling for a special project that came up through the government called MDTA. Some of you might remember we had that, and this was in the 70s. And so I'm all primed for that, and I had a student teaching job at the high school, and affirmative action, which I totally believe in, was happening. And I, at the end of August, was informed that no, I didn't get the teaching job at the high school. I got another job. I got a job teaching 167 kids who hated English and reading at the 7th grade level. They're 13 years old. Some of them are really tall, some of them are really small. You know, they all have had some kind of a mark that said, you haven't done well, we don't know what to do with you, so we'll put you into the singers class. There were no teacher's aides, there were no, actually it was the end of August, so there were no resources either. My resource teacher was also my department head, so she just thought I'd get along. So these were kids that made motorcycles out of student desks, and they were truants, and they had been on detention, and they had lots of their own world where they were coming from. And, you know, it's hard to be in front of a class and not find some loving things vibrating. But when you love a kid that's making a motorcycle out of a desk, or you know, it's difficult. It's kind of like making that transition, seeing through to the loving place that they are. But what happens when you're a teacher in front of 35 children in a class, and you have a lesson to teach, which you had to make up because there were no resources, and these kids were thought of as non-readers, because that's what it is. When you get through 3rd grade and you're still not doing well, you're considered functionally illiterate, and that's the label that goes on you. So, fail. Nobody was going to fail in my classes. That's what I decided. And I held in my heart that they were all babies at one time, and that things happened. So the first semester, I don't know why you would open a window and the glass would fall out. That doesn't make any sense. But that's kind of like my classroom. Nobody would sit in the right seat. Nobody wanted to do what I asked them to do. I would, like, we used to do diagram a sentence. I would get up there and somebody went, "Do you like to do that?" "We don't like to." They were mouthy, and they didn't want to do any homework or anything. And I didn't have any academic students. I had 5 preparations, and nothing was the same in any class. So there was a kid in my class named Bobby, who I managed to say, if you could just pay attention for like a few minutes, I'll put your name on the board with a big star. That's the way I want to put names on the board. But it was hard to find that. And I knew that somehow I was in this job for a reason, and that the things they said in the teacher's room, which were, they're in junior high school as a containment place. You don't expect them to teach anything. You don't expect them to learn anything that you're teaching. You really just contain them until we get them out of here and get them to high school and let them deal with them. Because if you have innovative thoughts, they will run right over you. It will kill you to be bringing innovative things. Well, that's not like me. I'm sorry. I have to always be courting this edge of innovation or bringing new things in. But there was a day toward the end of the first semester in 1973. So it's nearing the end, and this kid, Bobby, goes up to another child and does this to his ears. And I couldn't stand it. And I took Bobby and I grabbed him by the top of his shirt and I put him against the wall and I said, "You will never hurt another child in my presence again." And dropped him and walked to the principal's office and said, "I don't care. Get him out of my classes. I don't care who his father is. I don't care about the influence in the community. Get him out. I don't ever want him in my class." And we had a brunch between that class and the next one, and I just, the word got out and people. And so I said, whether I lose my credential or not, this is my bottom line. And so Christmas, and that was a relief, because I used to go home and sit in the driveway of my car and cry about what was I going to do with these kids. So a new group of kids. So this child comes in along with the others. There's so many different heights. And so it's 1974, it's January. And one of the kids that came in the class, I was really worried about. He was tall, I figured he was a truant, probably not 13, probably closer to 15, but just kind of stagnating. And he was just different looking. Had this streak of white hair, and his eyes looked different. He didn't engage me. He took a seat way in the back, tilted the seat against the wall, and just kind of glared at everybody. And I had a seating chart, and I marked, his name, which I don't remember to this day. And so I think I probably didn't breathe very well as I watched him. But I got distracted because this other kid, at the end of, everybody's seated, the class is beginning, he wouldn't take a seat. And I said, I want you to take a seat because here's my chart. I'll learn your name. He said, "My name is Tom." I said, "Okay, I want to remember that, so I want to mark you, sit there. I'm not going to take a seat." And that was his position. And I had to conduct my class, right, because people were beginning to be restless with these kids saying, "I won't take a seat." So then I conducted the class, and he's standing there. And I said, "Tomorrow, you're taking a seat." So he came in the next day, and we had the same thing, not taking a seat. And I had a class to conduct. So I looked at him and said, "By tomorrow, you're taking a seat." And so tomorrow came, that was the third day. And I looked at him. And I don't know what happened, and that's the thing that Douglas questions about. Because something happened between his eyes, my eyes, his ears, my ears, his heart, my heart. And he became the person standing at my desk. And nobody in the class said, "Whoa, why don't I get to stand at your desk?" They just accepted it. And I didn't know what happened there either. So Tom stood at my desk, and I conducted class. I can tell you that in the entire year, or semester, I didn't know if Tom could even read, because he did nothing in the class but stand at my desk. Well, I wasn't going to tell you this part, because I believed that it was too gross to tell you. But I'm going to tell you because what happened last week when I was sharing this with someone in my office is I told this part. And when I told this part, I was shaking and I realized, no, I got to tell you what it is. Because it's a part that we were reading in the book club that talked about forgiveness. So Tom is standing at my desk, and the class is beginning. Tom was always early. He was always there when I walked in, because his class was right after lunch. And so he got there early, the door was open, stood at my desk, and there was a kid late, and I knew I was going to start class. And the child I was worried about, I kind of checked everybody out. I saw him lean over. And so the kid that was late came barreling in, and this boy in the back had a scissors on the chair of the child who was late, who didn't look at the chair before he sat down. And he sat on the scissors. And this boy that sat down late jumped up, screaming, holding his butt. And I looked at Tom and I said, you go with him to the nurse and you tell the nurse to send somebody here. And the whole classroom was in shock. And there was blood on the floor. I reached for the phone, the line was cut on the phone, and the kid who had committed this act got up to run out of the class, and he ran into a person in the hall that was sent by the principal. It's the only thing that Tom responded to that I engaged him that entire semester is go down and get him. Go down with this boy, send back some help. That's it. Shortly after that, the math teacher, and that is 45 years ago, I have a memory for those things. The math teacher stopped me in the hall, and he said, oh, I see you have Tom in your classroom. So much stuff. I'd already been told by the principal I had a weak link in my teaching. And that he didn't think thought I should be pursuing another career. And he was willing to have me there for this one-year job that had opened up. So I'm afraid that Tom Blackstone is going to say to me, can't do that with a kid. No, he said, here's the thing about Tom, it's changing. Being in your class is changing him. He's grasping the math concepts that I'm teaching. Now, I've known, he said, his family fostered Tom when he was a young kid, and then they adopted him. He has never fit in this family. And suddenly, he's like happier. And you know what? I talked to his other teachers. He's doing well in other classes. I have 2 minutes. go over. So, Tom started doing well everywhere. And I thought that was weird. Well, time went on, be that as it may. Oh, by the way, Tom Blackstone taught math through movies that showed the relationship between people that he wanted to teach in math. That had a little clue there about Tom Blackstone. So, end of the year, and I had given Tom a C for standing at my desk. He still never did any work. So what happened? See, that's what they've got to get to, is what happened. This is, so this is what happened. This is out of some of the science that I've read about relative to hard math. It's not in David MacArthur's book. But, okay, so here's person A, and it's their brainwave. Just blah, 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 blah. And here's person B, and here's their heartbeat. Okay. So here's person A, person B. Okay, so there's no contact between these two. They're not talking to each other or anything. But the researchers get A to hold hands with B. Okay? Well, when you hold hands with B, the brain wave, which is this one, where there was no contact, begins to look like the heart wave. Okay? That's heart math. Measurable. You can see it. So, the deal is, and I didn't ever hold Tom's hands. And I didn't do anything different with an unruly class. But what happened was, our hearts and our brains connected. Not because we did anything, but I loved every one of the children in those classes, no matter what. And the thing I didn't want to tell you that came up because I read chapter 7 was that I held a lack of forgiveness for the boy in the back with the scissors. And I realized that I've been holding that for 45 years. And that maybe I could do that tapping, that's what I came to. Even though I'm not ready to forgive this boy, I still love and honor myself. And that comes straight out of the Course in Miracles and Attitude of Healing. I can do that. I can't push to forgive him right now. I didn't even know this was happening. Well, it's the end of the semester. Here's the class that Tom's in. I had written letters to the kids in class because they weren't doing any work. But I figured, well, I'll write them a letter. So they all had that going on. They had this little connection with me. They barricaded the door so I wouldn't leave because it was a one-year job. And I said, it's a one-year job, I have to leave. And they decided to march to the Board of Education and make them change the rules. And then I got a letter from Tom's parents that said, we have no idea what you did, but he has friends. He is excelling in his classes. He's got a job babysitting. That, my friends, is what happened